Hi everybody, I want to show you a clip of the son of Hamas, as he is known, Mosab Hassan Yousef, who is the son of one of the founders of the Hamas movement, Sheikh Hassan Yousef. And he is here on I-24, which is a brilliant Israeli channel, English channel, where he's talking about Yahya Sinwar, who is one of the heads of Hamas in Gaza, who was one of the architects of the October 7th massacre. And he gets inside the head of people like him and the whole Hamas ideology. And I think it's important, sick as it is, that we understand what is going through these people's heads and what's motivating them. And he, of all people, understands this. So have a look at what he says about Sinwar and the whole Hamas way of thinking.
That brings me to Sinwar. They call him the butcher from Khan Yunis.
He suffocated people with his own hands. He slaughtered people, beheaded people with his own hands. And those people were Palestinians. He's a monster. Self-deluded, psychopath, dangerous criminal. He bragged about himself beheading someone on the prison sink. And this is his heritage, this is his resume, this is his empire.
What's Hamas' goal?
Well, Hamas doesn't even know what goal they have because their goal is not in this life. Hamas does not believe in this life. Hence, they want to kill, then get killed. After getting killed by the name of Allah, they get rewarded in the afterlife. They are the sword of God on earth, and they see the Jewish people as the disobedient, the ideology that actually sees the Jewish people inferior, sees the Jewish people as enemies of Allah, that in fact killing the Jewish people is considered a way of worship. Why would any sane, decent human being would go into a farm, a kibbutz, and kill all form of life, to kill a baby, to burn a baby based on religious, basically defines ethnic cleansing, defines a genocide.
This is such an important point that he makes in terms of understanding the Hamas ideology, that it's a death cult, that they believe they should, as he says, number one, kill Jews, and then number two, be killed because they'll get rewarded in heaven. That's what's going on here. And that's why you can't really deal with people in the same sort of rational language that you might in other conflicts. And I want to just touch on the philosophy behind this, actually, rather than talk about politics, but the philosophy of what their whole way of thinking, that this life is really should be treated very cheaply and it's just about getting rewarded in heaven. I want to make a few points on that from a Jewish perspective, and I think it's no accident that they see the Jews as their primary eternal arch enemy. And we often hear them saying, we celebrate death the way the Jews celebrate life. And I want to unpack this a little bit for you, because they're right. We do celebrate life the way that they celebrate death, but not because we're scared or because we're wimps. We actually celebrate life because from their perspective, they think that they're somehow being godly and serving God by, just being focused on the next life. But actually, if you think about it, their whole way of thinking is about serving themselves. They think that they're going to get rewarded this way. They're going to get their 72 virgins and all the rest of it. So they're actually not serving God, they're serving themselves. That's what they focus on. That's what is their glory. And so Judaism was very groundbreaking in teaching the world, and sadly, subsequent religions kind of turned it on its head. But Judaism taught that human beings, we're not here to try and get to heaven. We're placed here, God put us here because he wants to come down to earth. He wants to live on earth with us. And so an ideology that says that heaven is where it's all at is actually going to end up being very dangerous. Now, it might not necessarily lead to Hamas, but once you start to go down that road, it opens the doorway to much more dangerous ideologies that are focused on the next world. And now I know there are many, many other elements to the Hamas ideology that believes in Islamic domination and control, and dhimmis can't control that. I understand all that, and that's part of it as well. But I'm just picking up on this particular point because this is a key fundamental difference and misunderstanding that I think many people have about how they should relate to heaven and the next world, that I think paves the way for this kind of perverted worldview. Judaism teaches we celebrate life because it's here where we can serve God's purpose and be selfless. And it doesn't make sense that God created the world and created us so that we should get to heaven. Just take us to heaven, if that's what it's all about. It can't be. It's also in a very abusive relationship. God says, right, I'm creating you and you're in trouble. You're born in sin and you've got to get to heaven. What? Well, just don't create me then. Like what? So really, what's going on is Judaism teaches God creates the world out of his need, his desire for a relationship, to share his existence, for him to come down to earth. Doesn't that make a lot more sense? And so our job here is to bring him into this world, which is his desire to dwell among us in the lowest of all worlds, and in doing so make it the highest and greatest of all worlds. But that's why we say to life, because we know that despite life's difficulties, despite its challenges, we stick it out here because it's God's need that we're trying to fulfill, not our need to get there. And so while we may teach that heaven is a more comfortable place, earth, we don't say it's a better place, as some people may say. They talk about it, heaven being a better place. We don't say that because actually it, among many other reasons, can lead one down a dangerous path. If heaven's a better place, well, we might as well go there now. What are we waiting for? Judaism says, yes, it's a more comfortable place, but actually, earth is a more meaningful place because it's here where we can serve God and grow and build that relationship with him. So that's just one small element I wanted to pick up on in this whole, ideological dive into understanding Hamas and those who are obsessed with the next world. I think that's also part of the reason why the Torah doesn't mention this idea of heaven, because it doesn't want that to be our focus. Judaism teaches heaven is actually a temporary retirement home, and then we're all going to be restored back to life here on earth, and this world will become eternal. I think that makes a lot more sense, actually. But yeah, I just wanted to pick up on that one particular element because I think it's really important that we as Jews start introducing that into the global conversation, because taken to its extreme, when you're obsessed with rather getting out of this world and into the next world, you can end up doing all sorts of terrible things, both to yourself and to others. I'm Ollie and you're watching JTV.